If you've spent the last few evenings scrolling through endless lists of pallet lifters, watching video after video trying to decide whether a cheap aluminum fork or a heavy-duty steel model is really worth the extra price, you're not alone. The hesitation usually comes down to a simple question: will this tool actually make my daily moves easier, or am I just adding another piece of metal that will sit in the corner gathering dust? I've heard that a lot from shop owners and small warehouse managers who were torn between budget-friendly options and the promise of a 4,000-pound capacity. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this review, I'm going to walk through the practical side of the Vestil HDP 442 steel pallet lifter, sharing where it shines, where it falls short, and who will get the most bang for their buck. First off, let's talk about the everyday scenario that most people face. Imagine you run a modest e-commerce fulfillment center, handling a steady flow of 48-inch pallets loaded with boxes of varying sizes. Your current method is a hand pallet jack that sometimes struggles with heavier loads, and you've started to notice the occasional strain on your team's back muscles. The Vestil HDP 442 is a floor-mounted lifter that promises to lift up to 4,000 pounds using a set of 42-inch tapered steel forks. The biggest advantage here is the tapered design. Because the forks narrow toward the tip, you can slide them under a pallet that's already resting on a rack or a slightly uneven surface, something that a fixed-width fork would have trouble with. In the field, that translates to less fiddling, fewer adjustments, and a smoother lift when you're trying to free a pallet from a tight aisle. The lifter's main support comes with built-in handles, and that's more than just a convenience. In real use, those handles give you leverage and allow you to position the unit precisely where you need it without dragging the whole assembly across the floor. Think about a scenario where you have a pallet stacked next to a wall, and you need to pull it out for inspection. The ability to grab the support and tilt the lifter just enough to get under the pallet can save you a few steps and a lot of frustration. It's not a flashy feature, but it's the kind of thoughtful detail that shows the product was designed with warehouse workers in mind. Now, the large square head on the opposite side of the forks acts as a counterweight. In practice, this means you can rest the lifter on an empty pallet and it will stay level without any additional bracing. I've seen this work well when someone needs to raise a pallet just enough to slide a new load onto it. The counterweight prevents the lifter from tipping forward, making the process feel more controlled. For operators who are new to using pallet lifters, that stability can be a confidence booster, reducing the learning curve that usually comes with heavier equipment. Compliance is another point that often gets overlooked until it matters. The HDP 442 meets the ASME B30.20 standard from 1993, which is the industry benchmark for floor-mounted pallet lifters. While you probably won't need to reference the standard daily, it does give you reassurance that the design has been vetted for safety and durability. In a busy shop where the lifter might be used dozens of times a day, that peace of mind can be worth the difference between a product that passes inspections and one that gets pulled from service. So, who exactly should consider buying this steel pallet lifter? If you're operating a small to medium-sized warehouse, a distribution hub, or even a workshop that frequently moves heavy pallets, the HDP 442 fits right into the workflow. It's especially valuable for anyone who's already dealing with loads that regularly approach the 2,000 to 3,000 pound range. The 4,000-pound capacity gives you headroom for occasional heavier shipments without needing to upgrade to a larger, more expensive model. Businesses that take on a mix of pallet heights and widths will appreciate the tapered forks, because the same lifter can handle a standard 48-inch pallet and a slightly shorter, deeper pallet with minimal adjustments. On the flip side, if your operation is predominantly lightweight, say you mostly lift boxes that total less than a ton per pallet, or you're looking for a portable solution you can carry from one dock door to another, this might be overkill. The unit is floor-mounted, which means you'll need a dedicated spot or a sturdy base to set it up. It isn't something you can easily roll around on wheels like a hand pallet jack, so if you need a truly mobile lifter, you might be better off with a different class of equipment. Additionally, the steel construction adds weight to the lifter itself. It's not something you'll want to tip over or accidentally let fall, so make sure your team is trained on proper handling. Let's address the practical strengths that really matter once you have the lifter in your shop. First, the combination of steel forks and the counterweight head means